everybody, this is Matthew, and today on BrainSTEMs we're going to be looking at probability and how probability is used in games of chance. So what even is probability? Basically, probability is how likely an event is going to happen based on a random chance. Let's start out really simple. Let's say I have this quarter right here, and I want to flip the quarter. What's the chance that this quarter lands on heads? I know, it's a basic example, bear with me, it's a great starting point. To start out, we can see that the only ways that this coin can land are heads and tails. Let's take a look at the scenario as a fraction. Because there are two possible outcomes that this coin can land, heads or tails, let's put a 2 in the denominator of our fraction. And since there's only going to be one way out of the two outcomes that our wish for the coin to land on heads is going to be true, one should be in our numerator. And voila, this coin should land on heads half or 50% of the time. Yes, I know that everybody knows that flipping a coin is 50-50. Just bear with me this time. How about this time I flip the coin twice? And I want to know what the chances are of this coin landing on heads both times. Let's take a look at the fraction again. If we flip this coin twice, there aren't just two possible ways it could go this time. The coin could land on heads both times, it could land the first time on heads, then the next one on tails, it could land the first time on tails, then the second time on heads, and finally it could land both times on tails. 4 outcomes. Because there are 4 outcomes, we'll put 4 in the denominator. And since only one of the outcomes gives us what we want, we put 1 in the numerator. And we can take this example even further. Instead of just a quarter, why not a standard deck of 52 cards? Let's say I want to draw 2 cards from this deck. What are the chances that those 2 cards are going to be a jack and a king of any suit? Well, we can start by looking at the first drawing. If there are 4 jacks in a deck of cards, then there are 4 ways we can draw a jack from the deck. So the numerator of our fraction is 4. And since there are 52 cards we have to draw from, 52 is in our denominator. Now, let's take a look at the second drawing. Again, like the jack, there are 4 kings in a deck of cards. So our numerator is, again, 4. And since there are 52 cards in a deck of cards, there should be 52 outcomes. But wait, we already drew a card. So instead of having just 52 cards, we only have 51. So 51 should go in our denominator, not 52. And now with our 2 fractions, all we have to do is multiply them to get 16 over 2,652. And we can simplify that to get 4 over 663. So the chances of drawing a jack and a king from a deck of 52 cards is 663 to 4, which is about a 0.6% chance. A little bit more complicated, but it's the same concept. Now, probability isn't just something people use to predict the outcomes of like a coin toss. Probability has a lot of real-life applications. A few examples, predicting the weather, predicting the stock market, predicting your chances at winning the lottery, which, fun fact, is lower than your chances of being struck by lightning. Twice. Even though predicting the weather is just a little bit more complicated than predicting the outcome of a coin toss, it's still the same basic concept. Today, I want to talk about the application of probability in games of chance. So, what's a game of chance? According to Wikipedia, a game of chance is a game whose outcome is strongly influenced by some randomizing device. Basically, this means a game of chance is a game where the person playing the game has little to no control over the outcomes of the game and must instead hope that the odds of the game are ever in their favor. Most games of chance use randomizing devices such as dice, playing cards, and even something as simple as flipping a coin to create the random aspect in that game. Now, games of chance are different from games of skill. Let's take Monopoly, for example. In Monopoly, sure, the number of moves your token takes is determined by the random dice number you roll. However, players still need to make decisions on each tile and strategize how to win. So the outcome of the game is still determined by the players. You usually see games of chance in casinos, where there's the added aspect of gambling. Gambling is when a player bets money on an unlikely scenario or an unlikely circumstance. Although there is a high risk of losing that money, if you do end up winning, you get more than you originally put in. Let's take a look at a classic example. American Roulette. In American Roulette, you spin a wheel with 38 numbers, 18 of which are black, 18 of which are red, and 2 of which are green. And you spin the wheel and a ball on the wheel and hope to guess the number it'll land on, a group of numbers it could land on, or the color the ball lands on. Simple, right? Not quite. Let's say you bet your money on the ball landing on a black number. Betting on either red or black gives you the highest chance of winning, because those are the largest group of numbers that you are allowed to bet on. The probability of you winning if you bet on a black number is going to be 18 over 38, or 9 over 19. And because there are as many black numbers as red numbers, the probability of winning if you bet on a red number is also 9 over 19. But wait a minute, 9 plus 9 is only 18. Where's the other 1 over 19? Well, that, my friends, is called the house edge. Along with the red and black numbers, there are also 2 green numbers on an American Roulette wheel, 0 and 00. If you bet on the black numbers, not only will you lose if the ball lands on a red number, but also if it lands on the 2 green numbers. This means that the casino has a 10 over 19 chance of winning, greater than your 9 out of 19 chance of winning by about 5.26%. For every $1 million that's bet at an American Roulette table, if the house edge plays out perfectly, the casino's profit will be a little bit over $50,000, with only $950,000 being returned to the bettors. The longer you play, according to the law of averages, the more likely your play is going to start to match up with the house edge. You may make some big wins in the short term, but as you continue to play and bet in games of chance, you're almost guaranteeing yourself to walk out without a profit. All casino games are designed like this, with a house edge that seems little, but will on average leave you walking out with less than you came in with. The house edge represents the amount of money the casino expects to make off a game, with house edges generating profit anywhere from 0.5% to 40% of what the player bets. I'm sure some of you have seen or heard about people making big wins from gambling. 2 things. 1, winning those jackpots are extremely small. And 2, a huge majority of the times, those big wins are from games of skill, not games of chance. As we talked about earlier, games of skill are determined by the players, not by some randomizing device. Games like poker and blackjack allow for greater wins, not only because the house edge is smaller on those games, but also because the people who win those games are really good at the game. Professional gamblers know how to do things like count cards, or they understand the probability of the cards as soon as they get them. Unlike games of chance, where there is absolutely no way for you to get good at the game. But don't take this the wrong way, like casinos are trying to cheat you out of your money. Casinos nowadays are a far cry from the mafia-run casinos of the 70s and 80s. Today, only about 40% of the revenue generated from Vegas casinos are from gaming. Gaming is just a form of entertainment that casinos offer, like concerts and shows, and should be treated like that. The house edge exists only because the casino, like any other business, needs to make money in order to continue running and offering its services. So probability is a cool way to see the chances of rare events and occurrences happening. The point of this video was not to either encourage or discourage gambling in any way. Gambling is just a form of entertainment, and it should be treated as such. Sure, people should be cautious when playing with their money when gambling, but at the end of the day, people gamble just to have fun. So, I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll catch you in the next one. See ya!